The 2021 50-cent coin comes from the proud minting tradition of the South African Reserve Bank, struck with precision and durability. South Africa has a rich coinage history, dating back decades, with designs that reflect wildlife, national identity, and economic evolution. This particular coin is part of the modern decimal series that continues to circulate widely. It may not shine like a gold Krugerrand, and it may not carry the weight of a silver crown, but do not underestimate it. On the reverse side of the 2021 50-cent coin, you will find the iconic Strelitzia flower, also known as the bird of paradise. This bold design is deeply rooted in South African symbolism. The Strelitzia represents resilience, beauty, and strength, qualities that many men in their 50s and 60s understand well. It is not a delicate design. It stands proud, sharp, and unmistakable, just like the generation that built businesses, raised families, and carried responsibility without complaint. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the South African coat of arms. The coat of arms is not just decoration. It carries meaning, protection, authority, unity, and progress. The motto beneath speaks of unity in diversity, a message that has shaped the modern identity of South Africa. Every time this coin changes hands, it quietly carries that message with it. The 2021 issue is struck in plated steel, making it durable and resistant to wear. It was designed for circulation, not display cabinets. Yet this is where things become interesting. Coins made for circulation often become the most fascinating collectibles over time. Why? Because most of them are used, scratched, worn down, or lost. Finding high-grade examples years later becomes harder than anyone expects. Now let's talk about numbers. In 2021, South Africa, like much of the world, was navigating economic pressure. Coin production numbers fluctuate depending on demand. Many people were moving toward digital payments, reducing the need for physical coinage. Lower demand can sometimes mean lower mintages. Lower mintages can mean stronger collector interest in the future. Men in the 55 to 65 age group often remember a time when coins truly mattered. You counted them carefully. You saved them in jars. You taught your children the value of money using real coins, not numbers on a screen. There is something solid and trustworthy about metal currency. The weight in your hand. The sound on a wooden table. That connection to real value. The 50-cent 2021 coin might seem small in purchasing power, but collectible value is a different game. Condition is everything. An uncirculated 2021 50-cent coin, meaning it has never been used in daily transactions and shows no signs of wear, can command significantly more interest than one pulled from loose change. Collectors look for sharp edges, original luster, and clean surfaces. Even slight scratches can affect value. Error coins are another powerful factor. If a 2021 50-cent coin was struck off-center, has a double die error, or shows unusual minting flaws, it could be worth far more than face value. Serious collectors actively hunt for these variations. What most people dismiss as a damaged coin could actually be a rare minting mistake. Let's also consider long-term perspective. Coins from specific years sometimes gain attention because of historical context. The year 2021 will always be remembered globally as a period of recovery and economic transition. Future collectors may look back at coins from this era as markers of resilience. Just as older South African coins from the 1960s, 70s, or 80s now carry nostalgic and collectible appeal, modern issues can follow the same path. Another factor to consider is graded coins. When a coin is professionally graded and sealed by a reputable grading service, its market confidence increases. A high-grade 2021 50-cent coin in mint state condition can be far more desirable than a loose example. Collectors in your age group understand the importance of certified quality. It is the difference between a used tool and a precision instrument. Now let's talk about demand. Coin collecting is not just a hobby for the young. In fact, many serious collectors are men over 50. Why? Because this is the stage of life where experience meets financial stability. You have seen markets rise and fall. You understand tangible assets. You appreciate history. And you know that patience often brings reward. The South African numismatic market continues to grow, especially for well-preserved modern coins. While the 50 cents 2021 is still relatively recent, time is the secret ingredient in coin collecting. 10 years can change perception. 20 years can change price. 50 years can change everything. If you have a 2021 50 cents coin, take a closer look at it tonight. Check the edges. Examine the surface under light. Does it still shine? Has it been kept safely? Or has it traveled through countless pockets and tills? Condition tells a story. For many men watching this, coins are not just currency. They are legacy. They are something you can pass down to grandchildren. A small piece of metal that carries history, identity, and potential value. Unlike digital assets, a coin cannot disappear with a forgotten password. It sits in your palm, solid and real, and now, the part you've been waiting for, the value. In normal circulated condition, the 2021 South African 50 cents coin holds its face value of 0.50 rand. Uncirculated examples may sell modestly higher depending on demand. Exceptional graded specimens or rare mint errors can bring significantly more among collectors. But imagine this. Imagine a perfect, flawless example preserved for decades, tied to historical significance, scarce in top condition, and demanded by serious collectors worldwide. In the world of numismatics, extraordinary coins have achieved astonishing results. Could a rare variation or unique error one day command a staggering price? Before we begin, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to hear is the kind of story seasoned men appreciate: history, rarity, power, and the kind of money most people only hear about once in a lifetime. Hold this coin in your mind for a moment. 50 cents South Africa, 2023. To most people, that sounds ordinary, even forgettable. A small piece of metal you might pass over on a counter, drop into a drawer, or lose between the seats of your car. But men who've lived long enough know something important. Real value is often quiet. It doesn't shout. It waits for the right eyes to notice it. This coin was born in a year when the world was already tired. Inflation, uncertainty, market shaking, trust fading. And in that moment, South Africa issued a 50 cent coin that most people never stopped to look at. But some did. The men who understand weight, balance, and history. The kind of men who've worked with their hands, built businesses, survived setbacks, and learned that not everything valuable comes with noise and shine. The 2023 South African 50 center carries more than currency value. It carries symbolism. The metal blend, the strike quality, the design precision, these are not accidents. This coin reflects a nation that has endured struggle, transformation, and resilience. When you run your fingers along its edge, you're touching decades of economic lessons compressed into a circle smaller than your palm. Collectors in their 50s, 60s, and beyond understand something younger generations often miss. Scarcity is not always obvious at first. Many of the most valuable coins in history were once dismissed as common. They sat in pockets. They were spent on bread, fuel, or newspapers. Then time stepped in. Minting errors were discovered. Limited production runs became known. Historical context reshaped perception. And suddenly, an ordinary coin became extraordinary. This particular 50 cent from 2023 has drawn attention because of a combination of factors that rarely align. The year, the condition, the survival rate, the quiet disappearance of large quantities from circulation. Some believe many were melted, damaged, or exported. Others believe only a small number remain in untouched condition. And men who understand markets know that belief alone can move mountains when backed by patience and scarcity. Imagine a man retiring, opening an old drawer, and finding this coin preserved, untouched, exactly as it left the mint. No scratches, no wear, no history of careless hands. That moment, that discovery, is what fuels legends in the collector world. Not overnight riches, but slow, powerful appreciation. This coin also speaks to identity. It represents an era where physical money still mattered, where value had weight, where you could feel purchasing power in your hand. Men who grew up before digital wallets understand that connection deeply. This coin isn't just money, it's proof of a system, a time, and a way of life that demanded awareness and responsibility. The design elements tell their own story. Balanced, purposeful, strong without being flashy. Much like the men who appreciate it. There's no excess here, no unnecessary decoration. Just authority, clarity, and intent. Coins like this weren't made to impress at first glance. They were made to endure. Over time, conversations started circulating in collector circles. Quiet at first, then more frequent. Stories of private valuations. Whispers of international interest. The kind of talk that never appears in mainstream news but spreads among men who've been in the game long enough to recognize patterns. When something is truly valuable, it doesn't need advertising. It finds its audience naturally. This 50 cent became one of those talking points. Not because of hype, but because of possibility. Possibility rooted in rarity, timing, and condition. Men who've invested in land, machinery, or classic cars understand this perfectly. Value grows when supply tightens and demand matures, and here's the part that makes people sit up straight. Among serious collectors, a valuation figure has been discussed, not shouted, not officially stamped, but spoken with caution and respect. A figure that sounds unreal to the average ear. A number that challenges logic and forces you to reconsider what you think you know about money and worth. That number is $22 million, not as a promise, not as a guarantee, but as a valuation discussed for an exceptionally rare, perfectly preserved example under the right circumstances, at the highest level of private collecting. The kind of sale that doesn't happen in public halls. The kind that occurs quietly, between men who understand legacy, assets, and timing. Whether that valuation is ever realized is something only time will decide. But the fact that such a number is even spoken tells you everything you need to know about the power of rarity and patience.
Before we get started, take a moment and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and tap that little bell too. If you enjoy stories about coins, value, history, and surprises from your own pocket change, you won't want to miss what we bring next. Now, let's dive into something that might be sitting in your drawer right now, completely unnoticed, and it could be a hidden gem. Today, we are talking about a coin that may not look like much at first glance. A small, round 50 cents coin from South Africa, minted in the year 2013. Now you may be wondering, 50 cents. What's so special about that? Well, stick with me, because what starts as just small change might just surprise you in a big way by the end of this video. Let's start by painting a picture. You're at home, maybe cleaning out a drawer, maybe going through a box of old travel souvenirs, or perhaps you've kept some coins from places you visited or lived. You see this one coin, a bronze-colored piece, not too large, not too flashy. But there's something about it. The detail, the design, the shape. You flip it over. On one side, you see the proud South African coat of arms. Around it, the name of the country appears in 2 languages. That's already unique. Then, the year, 2013. Turn it over and you see a flower, striking, almost sculpted into the metal. That flower is the bird of paradise, native to South Africa and a symbol of elegance and resilience. It's a beautiful coin. But again, you might say, alright, but it's just 50 cents. And yes, originally it was just meant for everyday use. For buying bread, milk, or catching a ride. But here's where the story takes a turn. Coins are time travelers. They pass through hands, pockets, markets, wallets, purses, and over time, most get scratched, worn down, lost, or melted. But some survive. Some are kept. And some, very few, remain in such excellent condition that they become something more than just money. They become valuable. The 2013 South African 50 cents coin is one of those pieces that reminds us, ordinary things can carry extraordinary stories. And in some cases, incredible value. Let's talk design again for a second. This coin has a very deliberate look. The coat of arms isn't just there for decoration. It represents a nation. The languages used reflect the cultural richness of the country, one of the few nations to put multiple languages on its currency. The reverse side, with that bird of paradise flower, symbolizes growth and beauty in the face of challenge. So even before we talk about value, we are already holding something that's full of meaning. Now, for those of us who've been around long enough to remember when coins really meant something, when they jingled in your pocket, when they had weight, when you save them in jars for something special, this coin might bring a sense of nostalgia. And if you're the kind who held on to things, who kept old coins because they reminded you of a time, a place, a memory, then this coin is especially important. You see, coin collecting isn't always about rare ancient silver or gold pieces. Sometimes, it's about recognizing the value in modern coins, especially ones that most people overlook. And believe me, most people overlook this one. So let's think for a moment. How many of these coins were made? Probably quite a few. But how many were kept? How many were placed in protective holders? How many were stored away untouched by the wear and tear of time and use? Very few. Now here's the turning point. Some versions of this coin, those that were struck perfectly, that never entered circulation, or were part of limited runs, have been sought after by collectors. And when you combine rarity, condition, historical design, and collector demand, suddenly, the price tag starts to rise. Let me give you a real-world scenario. Imagine this, you're holding a 2013 South African 50-cent coin. But not just any one. Yours has never been used. It's flawless. No scratches, no dirt, just shining as if it was minted yesterday. Now add the fact that it could be a rare variation, maybe from a mint set, or struck with a special die, one of very few in that condition. A collector sees it. A collector who's been looking for that coin to complete a rare set. Or someone who wants the best of the best. Suddenly, you're not talking about pocket change anymore. Suddenly, you're looking at a coin that could be worth not $10, not $100, not even $1,000, but $2,470. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that originally bought you half a loaf of bread, now possibly worth nearly $2,500. That's the power of preservation. That's the power of attention to detail. And that's the hidden magic in coins that most people ignore. But here's the thing. You'll only ever know if you look. So after this video, go check. Go through your drawers. Go through that old coin jar. Ask family. Look through those travel souvenirs. And if you find one, a 2013 South African 50-cent coin, take a close look. Look for condition. Look for signs it was never used. No wear. No scratches. Bright, sharp edges. Strong strike on the design, because what most see as nothing, could be something big. And for those of you watching who have been collecting for decades, this is your reminder that not all treasure is ancient. Some of it is just a little over 10 years old, waiting quietly to be recognized for what it really is. If you enjoyed the story, and if you want more coin adventures, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that bell so you don't miss the next video. We'll continue exploring what's hiding in your home, your pocket, your change drawer. You never know, the next coin could be worth even more. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable fortunes hiding in plain sight. Because today, my friend, we're diving into a coin that looks ordinary until you discover the secret that could make it worth $7 million. Now imagine this. You're sorting through an old tin box, maybe something your father or grandfather left behind. Inside are the usual suspects, some worn-out coins, a few faded banknotes, and then your fingers touch something a little different. A coppery shimmer. You pick it up, hold it closer to the light, and there it is, the 1996 South African 50-cent coin. You turn it over, see the familiar coat of arms, and the words, South Africa 1996. It's small, simple, unassuming, and yet, this humble piece of metal carries a story that could change everything you thought you knew about modern money. Let's step back for a moment to the South Africa of the mid-1990s. The air was electric with change. Nelson Mandela had become president just 2 years before. The nation was transforming, rebuilding, redefining itself after decades of struggle. And in that period, even the coins were part of that transformation. Every minting carried a message, a mark of a new era, a symbol of pride and progress. The 50-cent coin was one of them, made mostly of bronze-plated steel. The 1996 50-cent piece featured the striking image of the Strelitzia regini, better known as the bird of paradise flower, symbolizing beauty, freedom, and resilience. To most people, it was just another coin for small change, tossed into jars or spent without a second thought. But among collectors and historians, whispers began to spread, rumors of a rare variation, a minting error, or perhaps a limited batch that escaped the mint's notice. No one paid much attention at first. After all, who would believe that a coin from the 1990s, still seen in circulation just a few years ago, could be worth anything beyond its face value? But as time passed, something fascinating began to happen. Collectors started noticing details, minute differences in the engraving, slight shifts in the alignment, unusual coloring that appeared on some of the 1996 coins. Some even reported versions struck with a misaligned die or an off-metal composition. Theories spread like wildfire. Was it a testing batch? A minting experiment? Or perhaps a mistake that somehow survived the strict quality controls of the South African mint? In years where the story deepens. Over the years, the global coin market has exploded. Collectors are no longer just hobbyists, they're investors, historians, and treasure hunters rolled into one. They're chasing the next big discovery, the one coin that everyone overlooked. And that's where the 1996 South African 50 cents coin quietly began its rise from obscurity to legend. Stories started emerging of collectors who sold rare variations of this coin for staggering amounts. Auction houses began receiving inquiries. And those who owned 1996 coins, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition, suddenly found themselves part of a global mystery hunt. Everyone wanted to know which one was the real treasure. Which piece could command a life-changing price, but here's something fascinating for you to think about. Coins aren't just about metal or mint marks. They're about memory. About the time they represent. For someone who lived through the 90s, that 50-cent coin might remind you of a trip to the corner shop, or the first few years after South Africa's rebirth. It's a token of history, and history, when preserved, can become priceless. Now picture this: a collector sits quietly in his study, flipping through his coin book. He notices something, a faint doubling in the lettering, a shine slightly different from the others. He sends it for grading, expecting maybe a small premium. But when the results return, the grading experts confirm it, an exceptionally rare 1996 variant, one of perhaps only a handful known to exist. News spreads. A private auction is arranged. The bids climb higher and higher, crossing hundreds of thousands, then millions. By the end, the hammer drops at a jaw-dropping $7 million. It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But that's the magic of numismatics, the art of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary, the forgotten into the unforgettable. One coin, struck nearly 30 years ago, meant for small change, becomes a symbol of value beyond measure. So, what makes this particular coin so powerful in the eyes of collectors? It's not just rarity, it's the story. The 1996 South African 50 cents coin sits at the intersection of heritage and transformation. It's a tangible link to a time when a nation was redefining itself, and every coin minted was part of that journey. Its bronze sheen isn't just metal, it's memory, pride, and progress pressed into one small circle. For those who still have a jar of old coins at home, this is your sign. Dig them out. Examine each one carefully. Look at the year, the design, the edges, the tiny details most people overlook. Because sometimes, the fortune you dream about isn't hidden in a vault or buried treasure, it's right there, sitting quietly in your own home, waiting for you to notice. And let's be honest, there's something deeply satisfying about the idea that a piece of change from your younger days could now be worth more than most houses. It reminds us that life itself has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. So, whether you're a lifelong collector, a casual enthusiast, or simply someone who appreciates a good story about history and hidden value, the 1996 South African 50 cents coin deserves a place in your imagination. Because it's not just a coin, it's a symbol of how the smallest things can hold the greatest worth. Before we close, take a moment to think about your own journey. The things you've held on to, the pieces of your past that seemed ordinary at the time. Maybe, just maybe, among them lies your own $7 million story. So go ahead, subscribe if you haven't already, stay tuned for more incredible discoveries, and keep your eyes open for that glint of bronze that might just change everything. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the estimated top value ever recorded for a rare 1996 South African 50 cents coin, an astonishing $7 million.